As many of you may remember, less than a year ago there was an incident at Ely State Prison in one of the max units. There was a battle that popped off between the Southsiders and the Aryan Warriors of Nevada, and 3 people ended up losing their lives. A few of the prison YouTube channels have tried to cover it, most of them missing the mark in amazing fashion. The entire time I sat back, not saying a word. The reason that I haven't spoken on it is because I happen to be an Aryan Warrior out of Nevada, better known as A-dubs. I didn't want to speak out of turn, pop something off that doesn't need to be popped off, things like that. Now after hearing some of these crazy takes, I can't take it anymore. Everybody's so far off as to why it happened, what happened, how it went down, all of that. After hearing these takes, some of them just fabricated, just outright lies, I can't sit back any longer. Everybody needs to know exactly what happened, why it happened, and the consequences of it happening. Now it's time to hear the truth. I have all that and much more. This is who I was, but it's definitely not who I am. Welcome to Vegas Profile Stories. Let's get it. Ely.
This is it.
This is it. So we talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, what's going on, dog?
Betty! Hey. YouTube wants a sock check, homie. Let's see them socks. Don't be scared, bro.
You have probably your arm.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, shit! Go it! It's a Rob from Ventura.
Yeah, and other places amongst the world.
Don't feel like you gotta, stick up for me. I'm fine. I mean, I can handle myself. I ain't never been no coward or needed people to, fight my battles.
EA. Last time we were talking, we started to talk about what's up, everybody. This is my nephew, Mikey. Mikey, say hello.
What's up?
Sonia Williams.
I'm here.
We came up in the same type of circle, all the same people. After this, I'm going to make a video addressing a lot of what I've heard out there. So much has been wrong and way off the mark that I can't just sit back and let it go unanswered. As for now, let's dive into this. So the Aryan Warriors, or the A-dubs, was created by a man they called a Pope. Now, there's a lot of people that they think they know who he is, all this. He's very, very clandestine. I don't know his real name. We just know he's the Pope. As far as how the Aryan Warriors started, young white inmates were being extorted and abused in the late 70s, early 80s in Nevada state prisons. The Pope came, he said, we're not going to do this anymore. He's already serving life. He gets a couple of like-minded characters to back him, and they go to war for the young white inmates to protect them. That's always been the mission of the A-dubs. I heard somebody say that A-dubs are extorting young white inmates, and if they don't get them to pay up, they turn them out. Get the f*** out of here with that. That's the one thing I needed to address right away. We don't get down like that. We protect. That's how it's always been. Are there anomalies? Sure, like Gargoyle, but Gargoyle got himself handled by us. We take care of our own trash, and we're definitely not out there just extorting young white inmates, and we're definitely not going to do anything like turn them out. I know in one of the RICO cases there was Michael Alvarez or whatever who cut a deal. He cut a deal to get himself some transmission fluid for his coming out of sorts, I suppose. I don't know. The guy was getting hormones. Hormone therapy, basically, is what he cut a deal for. And he testified against Kenny and Gargoyle and all of them, Fuzzy. And he said that they had him out there, working the hose stroll, basically, on the yard. That's bullshit. That dude would have been in Lovelock. He never would have even been on the yard with any of the fellas. So let's just get that out of the way. Lovelock is considered the special needs yard. All of Lovelock is not. Portions of Lovelock are. People like Alvarez, or whatever the f*** his name is, that's where they're going. They're never going to hit the main line to be messed with. None of the fellas knew who that was. Another thing that was said, I heard Boxer from Paradigm Media, when he covered it, he started saying the names of, whatever he could find in an article, I'm sure. You said Ronnie Jones. He was acquitted, completely acquitted. To bring up a man who's been found innocent, that's poor taste. There's other names that you could have named, like Kenny Crumb. You know, you missed him. He got 20 some odd years. You got Charles Gensimer, who is still doing time in the feds over that RICO. He got like 36 years and had really very little to do with the goings on because he was on the streets. And then I heard Boxer say that there was a street program. It don't work like that. We are a prison gang, not a street gang. Everybody, when they get out, they're encouraged to do better for their family. If you can't take care of your family, what good are you to us? Now, granted, we all mess up, but we are not encouraging people to go out there. I know Little Dog was Coco's number 2, and that was the entire RICO, was them talking on the phone about getting JT and Jenna Crank and all of them, right? That doesn't make it any more a street program or not. You are not expected to get out of prison and go straight to earning money on the streets for the tip. It doesn't work like that. You're free to move about the cabin. You go mind your own business, do your own thing. You are no longer bound by it. Also, Boxer, I heard you say that Lil Dog, Zachariah Lutz, was the leader. No, sir. And the only reason I need to address that is because you dishonor Muggsy's entire memory and everything that Muggsy put in to get where he was by calling Lil Dog the leader. Muggsy was a leader. He was a horn holder. Lil Dog, he was up there, that's for sure. He was making moves. Lil Dog wasn't afraid of nothing. He did pop off a riot in Southern Desert. He did not flood the tier and flood any Southsider legal paperwork and then get put on a bus and sent to Ely. That's not how that went either, Boxer. Here's what happened with Zachariah Lil Dog Lutz. The day before he was supposed to expire his sentence, he took a unit. He took Unit 5 in Southern Desert and held it for the entire day. Basically a fuck you to the NDOC on his way out, just to show him that he could. This isn't a 2-tier building. All right, there's long wings. There's 3 of them, and in the middle is the bubble. There's cages, flimsy cages that cordon off each wing. Basically, it's a hallway, a long hallway with like 20. Yeah, I think it was 20 cells down, 20 cells up, somewhere around there. So there's like 40 cells per hallway. That's what he took. You're not flooding that shit. You can try. That's not the reason why any of this popped off. Lil Dog did that in like 2021. Lil Dog got out, was sent to county, fought for a year on the RICO, finally took like an 8 to 20 or something like that, was sent back to prison. Lil Dog did so much in between all of this that that's a non-issue. I promise you this didn't pop off because Lil Dog flooded a unit in 2021. Don't work like that, homie. That's bullshit. You also said the Mexican Mafia made a call on the... No, they didn't. That's not how it works. This ain't California. There are Southern Mexicans that they all run under that. We get it. But there isn't a big presence when it comes to the guys from below the border. And they're not worried about what the fuck's going on in Nevada enough to care. I promise you that. Somebody made the call. I'm not going to say who, because who knows. But it wasn't over Lil Dog taking a unit and flooding it. That's for sure. Boxer, you spoke on the Black Warriors. The Black Warriors were funded basically by the A-dubs in their beginning. And it's more about Nevada love than it is anything else. It's a middle finger to Cali because the Black Warriors are basically what are now known as the Northtown Corps. That's all the homegrown black gang members or associates, I guess you would say, from Vegas, from Reno, from Nevada, where Cali ain't gonna run this. You said that high desert's just like the other high desert in California. Well, it is. We all run Cali politics, period. You said that we fuck with other cars. That ain't the truth, homeboy. Woods are not allowed to do business with anybody except for Woods. They can do friendly wagering or things like that with the Southern Mexicans at their own risk because the cars are not going to pick up the debt. That's just how it goes. You run up a debt with the Southern Mexicans, they're going to come for it. They're going to take you. They're going to get their blood. They're going to get paid. We're not going to pay your debt. And it's the same thing on the other side. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but We have our own phones. The Southern Mexicans and the Woods, we all run together. Then it's the blacks, the natives, Polynesians, you know, Pacific Islanders, things like that, the others. They all run together. They got their own phones, their own showers, their own tables, all of that. We ain't out there just doing business with all the races. Get the fuck out of here, Boxer. And it ain't got nothing to do with Cali politics. We've created this on our own. The only car that is run by Cali is a Southern Mexican car. Everybody else is Nevada. So just so you know, your Cali politics, although that is what we go by, Cali is not running Southern Desert besides the Southern Mexicans. That needs to be said too. Now, the Black Warriors, you said that they created them to thumb their nose at us. That's bullshit. We created them. They created themselves. Don't let me step out of turn there. They created themselves, and we helped fund them. We used our kitty, our money, to help their cause, and that's a fact. You said that we popped off a war with the Native Americans over the Black Warriors because they were allies, because the natives were allies with the blacks and they were our enemies, so we hit the natives. That's not anything like that ever happening. Nothing like that has ever once taken place. The only issue the Woods and the Native Americans have had in Nevada was we had a Wood try to slide up into the sweat lodge looking for tobacco. Totally disrespected the entire sweat lodge. The natives ended up burning it to the ground because their sacred area was desecrated by an outsider. They should have been mad. Little skirmishes did pop off because of it. They should have. It was a complete disrespect on that Wood. Absolutely. But, and I got native homies. Low down, what's up, homie? This is no disrespect. There are some staunch, just savage natives in the Nevada Department of Corrections, but they're not running any yards, homie, and they never have. And that's no disrespect. Like I said, I got a very close friend who, he got out, he became a chief on the res. He is a part of the UN Council, where he goes to the UN now and speaks. He's doing all kinds of greatness for the native people. I consider him a very, very good friend to me. But even he will admit, like, the natives don't have the numbers like that. They got the heart for sure, but they ain't got the numbers to be. They've never run anything. You get enough of them together, they will, for sure. The motherfuckers are down as fuck. But in Nevada, you said, oh, the natives hold a yard or the A-dubs hold a. Nah, man. The numbers aren't even nearly okay to even think of something like that. Like, that would be just a one-sided. It'd be America versus Iraq. And for you to say that, I'm guessing that one of your sources is one of the natives. That's what it sounds like to me. And maybe he was boosting his car a little bit too much, because they just don't got it like that. They are like that. There's not enough of them to make a move like that. It just doesn't happen. They did get pissed over the sweat lodge. They should have. That was his bad. That Wood was way out of line. That got taken care of internally also afterwards. But all that was a couple of skirmishes. You know, a unit would pop off here, a unit would pop off there. The natives were pissed, man. They should have been. But whoever said that we attacked the natives because they were allies with the blacks is a fat mouth and a liar. And that's what I'm saying. I'm standing on that one 100%. Get out of here, man. It was over desecrating their religious area. Now, Nevada is highly segregated on the yards. It just is what it is. It's a mixing pot in the city, though. Las Vegas is made up of so many diverse, different types of cultures and people, and you're not going to run around just having white friends, or you're going to have friends from almost every different walk of life that you can think of eventually through your life. Ricky Price, that's a case in point right there. Ricky loved to use that toad word. Blue was one of Ricky's best friends in the world. Blue is blacker than under the bed. Everybody else could get it, but you can't talk to Blue like that, because that was Ricky's best friend. Blue, I love you. If you ever watch this, you're a wild one, homie. So you can try and segregate yourself, but in Vegas, just not going to happen like that. We also move differently. It is a skinhead tip. The A-dubs is a skinhead tip. Most of our stuff is Norse, is Viking. That's how we get down. A lot of Odinists, a lot of pagans. There are standard neo-Nazi symbolisms on our members. And there are some that have bolts or this or that, right? That are the standardized skinhead tattoos. They do mean something also. Every tattoo means something. But bolt holder is not a thing, homie. We have horn holders. And to say, oh, you gotta whack somebody to be a horn holder. No, get the fuck out of here. Listen, it is the most seasoned individual in the area is going to be the horn for that yard. That's all there is to it. You're not going to find somebody and say, man, he'd be a great leader, he'd be a great horn, but he ain't never taken nobody out, so he's not up for vote. Most dudes who are the horn holders or supreme horn holders, they just put that work in anyway. That's who they are. Bolt holders, not a thing, homie. I ain't never been introduced to a bolt holder in my life. I know motherfuckers that got bolts on them, and they do mean something. And to say, oh, they got bolts in on the inside, nah, fool, get out of here with that shit. We put that shit anywhere, homie. You put tattoos wherever you got room. There is no specific place. Yeah, sure, we like to put our patch on our rib cage. When I was coming up, when I was picked up by Kenny, Fuzzy was making it to where they didn't want that. They didn't want A-dub symbolism on everybody that was coming up and being picked up at that time. Especially if you had any kind of worth, any kind of brains, they did not want to do that. And I understand it, because it's just putting a target on you, right? You're going to get security threat group, STG, stamp it, you're now a gang member. The instant that you walk to the shower and they see it on you. Try to be a little bit more smooth about it. That's why we have the horns on the helmets, things like that. Now that everybody's onto it, move on to the next thing. I've seen some dope ass horns. Richie has dope ass horns, and they're bighorn ram horns in a $sign on his head. Super clean. Then the last thing, homie, before I get to what happened in Ely. You said that Muggsy and Torque, I'm talking to Boxer, by the way, from Paradigm Media. You said Muggsy and Torque attacked Andrew Thurgood because he did not want to be an A-dub. So they sent him to the upper room for it. Homie, you know what it takes to be an A-dub? Do you know the amount of learning it takes? Do you know the amount of dedication it takes? Sacrifice? You disrespect everybody who's ever worn that patch by saying something stupid like that. Nobody's making somebody become an A. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Nobody's gonna send somebody off to the upper room because they don't want to join their prison gang, bro. I don't know how they do it over in Cali, but that ain't how we recruit, homie, because that's not recruiting loyalty. You said that we've opened the books. The books are barely open ever. Like, they are a crisis away from being closed at all times. We're not just picking up everybody. Andrew Thurgood was a member of a rival tip. He was INS. That dude was an independent Nazi skin. Andrew Thurgood walked into their house coming back from Chow before they did. When they walked into their cell, Andrew Thurgood was there waiting, and he wasn't waiting for anything else but trouble. Andrew Thurgood, and it sucks to say, got what he came for that day. Torque and Muggsy, that's their home. The reason why Muggsy was released is because stand your ground. They were protecting themselves. He brought the funk to them, and he got what happened to him. Now, did they put on an exhibition? Of course they did. Did they take it a little too far? Depends on who you ask. They drug him out of there. They could have left him sitting in there and let him just move on to the upper room. They drug him out of there, and the COs stepped over him, handcuffed him, left him sitting there for 20 minutes, then made him get up on his own 2 feet, walk out of the unit, stab like 50 something times, get that heart pumping, get that blood going. The COs are just as liable for the death of Andrew Thurgood as Torque and Muggsy are. The kid went into their house and got every bit of what he came for. That hug that you said was a congratulatory hug was them saying goodbye, because they knew they were never going to be celled together again. They'd never be on the same unit, because look at what they just did. They were saying goodbye to each other. Let me tell you something about Muggsy. When Muggsy got out after the Thurgood thing, they weren't charged. Muggsy goes on a little bit of a robbery spree, we'll call it. Well, the truth is Muggsy went out there and robbed everything from Boulder City back to prison. He was getting it. It's just what he wanted to do. So he got 40 to life for that string of robberies. He was out for like not long, a month maybe, 2 weeks I believe. He's getting 40 to life on that. Okay, Muggsy takes a life without parole for the death of Andrew Thurgood when it's picked up on a superseding indictment, on the RICO indictment because of Coco and Lil Dog. Muggsy takes life without parole so that Torque would only get 10 years for the death of Andrew Thurgood. Actually, Torque didn't even go down for that. Muggsy took the entire heat. Torque took like a racketeering, got like 10 or 12 years. He could have done that standing on his head. I know Torque. Torque was found sitting Indian style with something. It didn't make sense. In the fish tank, Torque was found that he had sent himself to the upper room, but he was sitting Indian style on the floor. And the injuries aren't consistent with that. Now, the investigating officer is Officer Ely. Officer Ely is the one who got into the Sally Port that day, and they had to pluck a shotgun BB out of my head. So that tells you about that guy. He also blew an inmate's leg off one time and got sued. Officer Ely is one of the most depraved, useless pieces the NDOC has ever had, and they've had plenty. Schwartz, McKeon. I won't even call Fisher. Fisher was at least funny. He was just a dick. Lorenz. But Ally, he's above all of them when it comes to the Vegeta scale of he's a F5 asshole, right? He's a piece of shit. That's who went in and did the full investigation for Torque's death. Yeah, all right. Doing 12 years, 10 years. He was going to be just fine. But they found him. They found him in the tank, in the fish tank, gone. But that shows you who Muggsy is. Muggsy knew he was never getting out again. So he just took the heat for it all so Torque could go home. For you to say that they did that because Thurgood wouldn't become a dub, like, think about, just stop and think about what you're saying when you say that, Boxer. Like, who the forces somebody in? This ain't Africa, homie, right? This ain't Gladiator type shit where, like, get down or lay down, we're gonna chain you up and make you fight tigers, but you're gonna do it for us type shit. I really wish you would have thought about that one before you even said it, because it's like everything that you've heard about us is dead wrong, homie. There's anomalies in every group, right? There are exceptions to every group. You guys have them, we obviously have them, everybody has them, but we tend to take care of ours pretty quickly. We're definitely not forcing people into being a gang member. Anyway, meanwhile, back at the story, without further ado, here's exactly what happened at Ely State Prison, told by somebody who actually knows and can pronounce Ely, for sake, people. Can you guys just, it's not Ely, Nevada. All right, if I hear somebody say Ely, Nevada one more time, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna start hunting, because that's just, you can't even pronounce it. It's Ely, Nevada. That's how we pronounce it. Fucking Eli. There's no I there. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, here's what happened at Ely State Prison that day. All movement is controlled on the maximum yards. At the time, Ely was the worst of the worst offenders for max. It was the maximum prison. Somebody, I'm sure it was Boxer, yeah, said, oh, the Southsiders from the other unit cut them off in the Sally Port. And get the fuck out of here, dude. This is max. Everything's controlled. It's so controlled that you have 5A, 5B, shit like that. Say 5A and 5B, there's a wall in between them with a door. They can't really see each other. They can talk through the door, pass kites under the door, shit like that. But that's it. That's the only time that they are within voice of each other. Nobody's cutting anybody off, and they don't go to yard together or any of that shit. The day room is highly controlled process also. There's 3 different shifts basically. And if you're on the first shift, then Shut the fuck up, homosexual. Stupid ass bird. If you're on the first shift to go out, you're also going to be on the fourth shift. You get 2 that day. I'm going to come over there and strangle your ass, fucking weird ass bird. So the day room is split up, much less the units, you know, like A and B. On the second shift, on this day, the Woods and the Southern Mexicans, who are historic 30-year allies, come out for their second shift, basically. Then it'll be, you know, the blacks and the others and that kind of shit. In that unit, you had 9 Woods and you had 13 or 14 Southsiders. We call that pretty even numbers when it comes to the Woods and shit like that. To let you know that there was no feeling of tension, Muggsy allowed one of the fellas to go and partake in the pagan rituals in land, basically, which is the grove, going to the grove, you know, that is religious practice. He never would have let that man go if he knew that there was going to be an issue. So the issue was all one-sided. What was the issue? For the third time in recent days or weeks, a Southsider rolled up owing the A-dubs. He rolled up on his debt, $140. Now, obviously the A-dubs, we're comfortable with our Southside alliance. I have Southside homies that I would die for. You know, I have Southside homies that I would kill for. I got Southsiders and Sorenos that I got tons of respect for. Peanut, what's up, homie? Dreamer, Chino, Lowdown, my homie. I love you to death. Trippy. I mean, shit, dude. I could go on and on and on. When something goes down, there needs to be a level of comfort to be able to speak to each other about it, right? So old boy rolls up with a debt of $140 owed to the A-dubs. Maybe he ran out of soap or something, and you know, that's just is what it is. I don't know what the debt was for. I'm gonna guess soups. Can't say soup because, you know, we got soup is actual A-dub. Anyway, for cactus Annie potato chips and spicy pickles, who the fuck cares? He owed $140 and rolled up. He was the third one to do it. One of the fellas, one of the bros, jokingly, just in a one-on-one conversation with the dude that he's been around for a minute, who's a Southsider, he says, man, I don't know what I'm gonna have to do, you know, start taking it out in blood or what, you know, just half joking, half not, just kind of, well, that Southsider, he took that serious, took it to their head, and they start strapping up. To me, it was a complete overreaction. Now, I don't know the exacts. I do know Muggsy letting one of the bros take off to a religious function out of the unit. Losing a man shows that Muggsy did not feel like there was any kind of tension or issue between them and the Southsiders. He never would have let him go. So that alone tells me that it's an overreaction, because Muggsy, when Muggsy walks, he walks like this, right? Or walked. Like, he's always lurking, he's always looking, he's always suspicious. For him to let a bro go, like, it didn't have to go down like this, but it did. So when they're let out to the day room, Muggsy's over by the wall. He's just watching. There's a knock at the door. A knock at the door is the door in between the units. It's for Muggsy. Muggsy walks over to the door. Somebody slides him a kite. Little dog is at a table, which is basically in the center of the day room. And there are little pockets of Southsiders and Woods and A-dubs, and like everybody's just kind of normal doing their routine. As Muggsy's walking towards Lil Dog at the table in the center, from behind, he's hit by like 3 Southsiders. One of them hits him in the right side with a shank. Muggsy turns around swinging, falls to his back. Dan and Biscuit come running over. They engage right away. They pick Muggsy up, and they get to fighting for their life, basically, shoulder to shoulder with Muggsy. Up front, I want to say it, and I'm sure at the end of the video I'm going to say it. Biscuit and Dan, man, I am so... You guys, man, can't nobody fault you guys one bit. You guys fought like savages, like warriors. There's nothing that you guys could have done differently. I just want to recognize both of them for being as savages, because like Lee Mitchell got stuck and he went and sat over in a corner and just allowed all this shit to go on, from what I understand. Biscuit and Dan, they weren't having none of that. And Eric Janish, the three of them, they were engaged in the fight the entire time, toe to toe with the enemy, shoulder to shoulder with their brother. Valiant, you know. Salute Biscuit and salute Dan. While this is happening, Little Demon, Connor Brown, is sitting on the stairs. He's hit, boom, in his side. He stands up to go up the stairs and falls off the stairs head first. Connor's down and he never moves again. Eric, his cellie, immediately tries to do CPR on Connor. While all this is going on, Little Dog is trying to engage. He starts running towards Muggsy when he's hit like by 4 or 5 Southsiders. Little Dog is dropped before he can get really anywhere. You know, only a few feet from the table that he got up and started running from to Muggsy. Little Dog hit the ground and did not move again. He was gone. So Muggsy has one guy in the corner, one guy doing CPR on another guy who's gone, one guy at a religious function, one guy sent to the upper room in the middle of the floor, 2 guys standing shoulder to shoulder with him against 13 Southsiders. The CO slides, starts popping off the pepper balls. While he's dumping pepper balls, or she, whoever it was, everybody gets down, everybody takes cover, right? Because those things hurt and you don't want to get hit with a pepper ball. That shit is not fun. Every time the CO goes to reload, the Southsiders get up and it's back to war. Now, Muggsy's not doing too bad. He critically wounds Smokey, who was put on a life flight and almost sent to the upper room by Muggsy. They did their best at getting, I think the final total was 6 Southsiders were wounded. One of them extremely critically wounded. And we're talking, this is by Muggsy, Biscuit, and Dan, basically. Those are the ones who were engaged in the fight. Everybody else was taken out of the fight before it even began, basically. That's a valiant effort. That's 2-1, boys. You guys did good. You guys did really good, especially not even seeing it coming. So as the firing ceases, they get up, they meet. This goes on for minutes, right? This was not a quick boom, boom, boom hit, efficient. It was an efficient hit by them, yeah, sure. Yeah, they took half the people on the other side out on the first motion. So it was very efficient by the Southsiders. It was an overreaction in my opinion, but it is what it is, right? It's happened. So Muggsy, Biscuit, and Dan are steadily getting poked, doing some poking. They're trying to survive it, basically, as these waves come, pepper balls come, boom, 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 until more COs show up in the sally port. When more COs show up in the sally port, now there's coverage inside the unit and from above. Basically, it's over, but it's not. Eric, while he was doing CPR on Little Demon, was hit 4 times in the back and in the side. The 4th time leaving the shank actually in him. Biscuit runs over and helps Eric, who is critically wounded, pull Little Demon out of there towards the sally port, basically pulling his body to safety. Like, they didn't care about just getting to safety. They cared about getting, even he could be gone. They weren't going to leave him in there. Well, Muggsy at that time is doing the same thing with Little Dog, but he's got a lot farther to go. Muggsy is dragging Little Dog from halfway across the unit towards the sally port. Dan begins pulling on Muggsy so that he could help support Muggsy. Dan and Biscuit, in my opinion, other than Muggsy, I mean, you guys, you'll always have my respect for the way that you conducted yourselves that day. You guys, I mean, the heart that you guys showed, you didn't have to be in that fight, and you know it. You know who they were after. The fact that they've stuck Lee Mitchell and then just let him just sit over there in the corner, that shows you who they were after. They were after Muggsy. They were also after the bro that went to land, but it's not his fault. Drew, it's not your fault, homie. And I know that you think it is. In my mind, you were just talking to somebody that you were comfortable with because you had talked to them a lot, right? You were just expressing your frustration, and look at what happened. And then you were off at land when the shit went down, and you come home and Muggsy and Lil Dog are gone, and Demon's gone, and everybody else is wounded. I know that's gotta... Homie, there's nothing you could do about that. So Muggsy pulls Lil Dog to safety into the sally port, as Biscuit and Eric Janish, who is fatally wounded almost, pulls Lil Demon in. And, you know, Lee Mitchell probably scoots his little fucking narrow ass back up in there too. I don't know nothing about the guy. From what I understand, and I've talked to a few different people from a few different cars even, that were sitting and watching it go down. They weren't in it, so their memory is going to be crisp about what they saw because they just sat there and watched it happen in front of them. Lee Mitchell wasn't engaged or involved in any battle besides being stuck, you know. And Boxer, you calling them human pin cushions, homie, those men fought way too hard for you to be disrespecting their memory like that, or disrespecting them in their death. That's foul. And like a real man would come about it and say, hey man, my bad, I apologize for saying that. Those are my friends. I knew Muggsy. Lil Dog, we had issues, whatever. But Muggsy and Biscuit and Dan, these are way better. Eric Janish deserves way better than to be called human pincushions and act like they didn't have a chance, homie, and they still stood tall and still didn't leave anybody laying on the floor. Once Muggsy gets Lil Dog into the sally port, he turns, stands in the opening of the sally port, and yells, "Fuck all you motherfuckers." The sally port door closes, and Muggsy drops immediately once it's closed and never moves again. A lesser man would have dropped way before that, but he made sure to get all of his guys to safety, made sure to stand tall on his way out, and made sure to tell them about themselves on his way out. And then once safety was secured, he just dropped. Muggsy is a fucking savage. That's a warrior's death right there. He went out like a warrior. And that little trio right there, boy. And it hurt me to think that Muggsy, I was first told that Muggsy was the first one hit, and they hit him right away, and he didn't even stand a chance, and I couldn't understand it. This makes more sense. It makes a lot more sense, because he went out like a savage. And does that take away from Lil Dog, the original story that Lil Dog was the one who did all that work? I mean, yes and no. Lil Dog died in battle, trying to get to Muggsy's side, because Lil Dog unlike everybody says, because the news said it one time, is not the horn holder or leader of the Aryan Warriors. Muggsy was, and I can say it because he's gone. Muggsy was one of the Aryan Warriors leaders, one of their top leaders on that yard throughout the state. Muggsy was somebody. Little Dog was rushing to the side of somebody. So it disrespects Muggsy and everything that he put in, all the work that he put in to get to where he was. Muggsy was the leader. He went out like a G. So obviously Anthony Muggsy Williams, Zachariah Little Dog Lutz, and Connor Little Demon Brown lost their lives that day. Smokey from the Southsiders Sorenos side was life flighted out. So was Eric Janish. They tried to cross Eric up. Eric was like 9 months to the house on a habitual. He'd already done so much time. 9 months to the house, this shit pops off. The COs, when they showed up in the Sallyport, Eric had just pulled the knife out of his back. All they see is him squatting over Demon. They charge him with sending Demon to the upper room. That's foul. Now that was later dropped and he has since been released. Eric, you put in such a valiant effort that day. I can't even imagine what kind of chaos that was. And you never left Demon's side. And you secured him and his death. So my hat's off to you. He was life flighted though. Critically wounded. He survives. Smokey survives. Biscuit and Dan are sent to medical, patched up, not even given Tylenol and sent back. That's how that goes. Lee Mitchell also patched up. Little Dog's family claims his body. Connor Brown, Little Demon's family claims him. Nobody claims Muggsy's body. Muggsy is buried in a pauper's grave in Ely State Prison's grounds outside of the prison, with no headstone, no marker, no place to go congratulate him on his valiant effort on his way out, or any of that. There's no place to mourn Muggsy. None of his family showed up. His fiance tried. She tried so hard to claim Muggsy's body, but the NDOC says, well, you're not blood and you're not married, so you can't. For $500, and nobody stepped forward to claim his body. Now he's forever in Ely State Prison. I still can't get over Biscuit and Dan though. They ran towards danger. They ran towards certain death to fight shoulder to shoulder next to Muggsy. Boys, I can't, bro. That's how you guys got to do it. You guys put it on right there, man. Good job. Did everything you could in the face of death. That's courage. Now it's pretty shitty that everything had to be pushed to this extreme over something so slight. But that's prison. That's max. But it's never going to be the same. It's never going to be the same. It will with certain personal relationships. You know, the instant shit popped off, smoke signals started coming to my smoke signal catcher. And the same for Kenny. I'll speak on it now because Kenny's no longer on parole because he's gone. Kenny secures the feds. He secures the streets. I'm talking to people that are getting in touch with me from the state. We're trying to figure out what's going on. I'm also talking to Soreno connections that I have. Most of the Cali Sorenos are saying we're not involved in this. We got nothing to do with this. This ain't our shit. We would never do anything to you, or you know, like it's all love, right? We don't know if it's because Rebelwood and Victor. We don't know if it's because Somebody even brought up a debt that was from October of the last year on a different yard where the Southsiders took their debt in blood, and blood laid, debt paid, right? And the A-dubs did not jump on that because the A-dub bro who ran up that debt was man enough to say, hey, that was on me, man. I welched on the debt for him. I got poked. We're not jumping on that. And Muggsy's dead. It's foul. What can you do though, right? So while it's all going on, Kenny gets a hold of some of those guys from the other side that he has met along the way in his journey through the feds of 20 years. I'm steady doing my part. I talked to a few people that I'm glad I got to meet. One of you in particular, the way you conducted yourself through this, through the uncertainty, through the navigating, exactly how to handle it, what to do. You showed that you are a brilliant mind and tactically sound, and I'm very impressed. And I know you know who I'm talking to whenever you watch this. You are an impressive individual. I'm glad that I got to know you, and I can't wait to see you when you're on the out sometime, bro. I like your whole get down through that whole thing was premier, right? You were very impressive. So Kenny's talking to the fellas. We're trying to figure out what's going on. Kenny dies. Now I'm getting phone calls. They want me to basically, they want me to give my word, my assurance that nothing will happen when the doors pop on the state level, which I could never. I don't got it like that. I never will. Like, the yard is the yard. They're going to do what they're going to do. I couldn't tell those men to do shit, even if I wanted to. The streets are the streets. Like, fucking nobody's. Y'all got the wrong guy, basically, is what I had to tell them. You know, like, just because Kenny picked me up doesn't mean that I'm Kenny, right? And Kenny's gone now. And I understand why I'm getting this phone call. And I'm not going to put you in touch with anybody because that would because I'm hurting and losing Kenny the way it all went down. Like, I was told that we were put on a hit list, and I text Kenny and I say, Kenny, just so you know, we're on a hit list, and Janine, I love you so much. You're a wonderful person. I know that you feel bad about kind of your response on his phone that day to that. It wasn't harsh whatsoever. It was shocking, yes, because Kenny hid it from me, but he hid it from all of us. Her response on his phone was, well, they won't be getting Kenny because he's not going to make it much longer. And Kenny was gone the next day. I was arrested a few days later on trumped up gun charge. I get out, I'm still trying to field phone calls. I'm still trying to make sense of everything. I'm still trying to just, nobody's telling anybody what to do. Like, there are far better people for that job than me ever. So I'm just trying to relay information so that there's more of an understanding of what's going on so that people are safer in their movement. So Kenny passes away. and I get arrested. And then there's a girl that I was living with who I thought was a very nice person, sweet person. I went to Target to get her something nice. She had broke something, the little popper thing on the back of her phone. I drove an hour to Target to get her another one, and she left without saying goodbye. Her reason at the time was she couldn't watch me go through this any longer because it had just been so much, too much. Basically, it hurt her to watch me hurt. The next day, Rob from Ventura died. It was a hell of a time, and the bros did what they could. So that's what happened in Ely that day. Everybody has their version, their bullshit that they've been, told or spun, or I don't know if Lee Mitchell got a hold of the boxer or if it's a native, or it'll all come out in the wash anyway. It always does. Whoever did is just fucking bullshitted their way through their story to you, half-assing information, making stuff up at points, shitting on us. Yeah, we got some characters you can shit on in the A-dubs for sure. We have some stand-up individuals also, and three of them were in that unit that day, and they fought valiantly next to each other. Biscuit Dan, Muggsy. Little Dog, I'm not going to speak ill of Little Dog. He was just doing what he was told by Coco anyway. I'm tired of hearing everybody's bullshit about, oh, this caused it. California made a call on. Shut the fuck up, dude. California didn't make no call on A-dubs. Get out of here, dude. They've been making calls on the A-dubs for 20 years, dude. We've been at war poking AB, and they've been poking us the whole fucking way, dude. So, the fuck out of here with that shit. Mexican Mafia didn't call and say, hey, tell your guys at Ely to hit fucking Little Dog because somebody's paperwork got wet. Get out of here, bro. That shit pisses me off. I mean, in Colorado, there was a dude who had a black hand tattooed on him. He's actually that girl who I spoke about earlier's cousin or some shit. Weird little mother. Said that he's a member of that tip. It's just you. Okay. He doesn't represent himself in that manner, but he says it a lot. When my little brother came to Colorado, this dude rides by on a 10-speed. I go, Brandon, dude right there says he's part of the MA, homie. Brandon looks at me dead stoic and goes, I ain't never seen no Mexican Mafia on a bicycle, Rick. The wisdom in that. So, I mean, who the fuck really knows? I'd imagine, things are getting cleaned up by the parties that need to clean them up as we go. I don't know how things could ever feel safe or okay again between the two tips. Like I said, I have personal relationships with Sorenos that I just don't even... We had a great working relationship and close love for each other to where we could bring this type of shit to each other and not worry about the other one attacking. I don't know. I guess shit's different. Different people have different relationships, I guess. to my Sorenos homies, and you guys know who you are. We've been through a lot together. We've seen a lot. It's been all love and respect, and it always will be. I will never disrespect you guys for what happened. I will never blanket say, hey man, fuck those dudes. Never. We've been through too much. To the ones named in that shit, it's a cowardly move. A very, very cowardly move on a 30-year ally. Thank you for coming to Vegas Profile Stories. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time. And everybody who says any different on this story is a fat mouth and a fucking liar. Ely.
This is it.
This is it. So we've talked about a lot of stuff.
What's going on, dog?
Betty! Hey. YouTube wants a sock check, homie. Let's see them socks.
Don't be scared. You have to roll with it. Oh. Yeah.
So Rob from Ventura.
Yeah, and other places amongst the world.
Don't feel like you gotta, stick up for me. I'm fine. I mean, I can handle myself. I ain't never been no coward or needed people to, fight my battles.
EA. Last time we were talking, we started to talk about.
What's up, everybody? This is my nephew, Mike. Mike, you say hello.
What's up? So we came up in the same type of circle, same, all the same